speed is the new moat, right? So the one, if there's one takeaway, you have no excuse to not be moving faster, right? And really, you now have these superpowers at your fingertips. And I think something I like to tell folks is every question that you would ask in a meeting with some third party and an external party, you can be asking those questions of Perplexity, of different AIs in advance, right? So there's no excuse to not be informed. You should not actually be doing the discovery, you shouldn't be learning the discovery questions in real time. Now we'll get into a tactic that I like to use that I think kind of is the best of both worlds. But I think the imperative is to move faster because your competitors are moving faster. I get asked, why is it that Perplexity's in the position that we're in? And part of it is timing, and part of it is execution speed. If we had, we got lucky with timing. If we had founded the company 6 months before we did, GPT-3 would not have been good enough, the equivalent of it at that point in time, and we wouldn't have been able to create that initial magical experience of combining AI with the internet. If we had started 6 months later, there'd be somebody else on stage right now that would have seized that moment. And so that's really kind of where I like to give advice for founders.
Okay, that's awesome. So I think it's sort of the version of what I did with Perplexity coming into this show. It's like you're a founder or you're a sales rep. You have a meeting coming up. Just prompt AI or Perplexity with who you are, what your company does, who you're meeting with, what their role is, and ask them, how should we structure this call? What are the things that I should know going into the call? And so this is the sort of meeting prep that used to be very manual that you can probably do in just a matter of seconds. And again, sort of relating to preparing for the show, I saved probably 90 minutes to 2 hours. Yep. On just sort of prep for what are the things that we should talk about, tell me about Dimitri, just by prompting Perplexity versus doing listening to podcasts, a bunch of my own research. You're applying that same thing to meeting preparation.
Yeah, and I think it's about just being, with the time you saved, you actually then ask more questions, right? And going deeper. So, what are Perplexity's biggest challenges? How have they tried to solve them? Once you're armed with the initial information, it should spark that curiosity. One of the most popular features in the product are the related questions that we show below the answer. Because the thing, there's no end stop to knowledge and learning. A good answer just begs more questions. And you actually want to, when you're then going from meeting prep to the actual meeting, you want to carry that spirit with you. So what I like to do is I'll just share my screen, and I will in real time start asking questions about the company that I'm talking to or the person, right? So it's hey, what are the biggest challenges company X is facing? How have they tried to solve them? So you kind of show your work in real time. And obviously it's easy for us to do it because it's showing our own product. But in some ways it's even more powerful for you all to do this, because if you can prompt the right way, and all of a sudden your solution, your product, your approach comes up in the AI-generated answer, or it points to that, man, that is authentic, that's powerful, it's transparent, and I've just seen that work really well, and I think that's a tactic of just, in this new era, transparency is everything, and if a smart AI is pointing to a certain direction, that's going to help whoever you're meeting with gain conviction in that direction too.
Okay, so I would categorize these things as combination of meeting prep and meeting assistance that historically would take 10 to 20 times the amount of effort as it does today. Anything else, again, you're a startup founder, you're starting to acquire customers, you're going to start leveraging AI in the way that you've just described. Anything else that comes to mind before we sort of progress?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, at the earliest stages of startup development, and this isn't just using Perplexity, but the rate at which you're prototyping and coming up with new concepts, getting feedback on them, that can all be accelerated dramatically, right? And so when you are then ready to put the pedal on the gas, you should have a lot more conviction, and you've tried a lot more concepts. And so using tools like Cursor, we're going to have the ability to build mini apps in Perplexity soon. Something's going to get announced called Projects. It's not meant to be a coding replacement, but to quickly visualize different concepts and get feedback on them. That should no longer take a week, a month. That's like an hour. And you should be constantly running through your head, how can I do in 1 hour what used to take a day, in 1 day what used to take a week, in 1 week what used to take a month? And that's the right mental model here.